is scary, and I know that, you know, in the past, Marvel and Sony have made decisions about characters that hasn't necessarily been well received by the general public, but then when they've seen the film, they've fallen in love with those decisions. Every decision we make at Marvel and Sony is calculated and done for a reason, so I hope that the fans enjoy this new aspect to a character that we know and love so well. You know, so I'm really excited to see what fans think. What I think they will think, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, but I know that I'm very excited to see their reactions. And, you know, for me as an actor, challenge and change is always a good thing because it means you're doing something new. So I was very excited for this piece of information, but very worried at the same time. Who would suffer more? I mean, I think Peter Parker, the reason he wears the mask is to protect Peter Parker and the people that he loves. So in his identity being revealed to the world, I do think that Peter Parker would be the one to suffer most. The nice thing for me, as an actor playing this character, is it meant that I got to do a lot more action without the mask on, because now the world knows who Peter Parker is. I don't have to keep my identity a secret, meaning Tom Holland on set doesn't have to wear the mask all the time, which is actually way more comfortable. So that was a plus side, but I think Peter Parker is definitely suffering from this news. Ever since I got cast as Spider-Man, my life changed, and all of a sudden going places where I used to go as a kid all of a sudden wasn't an option. You know, I had to be really careful about where I go for security reasons, to make sure that I'm safe. So yeah, I definitely have felt like Spider-Man, especially with what he's going through right now. That said, you know, it definitely comes with more pros than it does cons. So I'm very lucky to be where I am, and I just was delighted that I was able to kind of baby Spider-Man through that process. I mean, it's a huge responsibility. Playing Spider-Man is definitely much more than just having a job. I think there are kids out there that, you know, might be struggling for various different reasons, and they look to Spider-Man for the way forward, or for a moment of levity, or just to escape from their own lives. You know, that's the wonderful thing about cinema, is it really is an art of escapism. So for me, that responsibility is something that I wear proudly and something I take very seriously. You know, for me, what's more important about this film than, you know, breaking box office records or stuff like that is touching people and making fans around the world feel like they are a part of something bigger, and also making them feel like they're part of the family. You know, we really do make these films for the fans. I hope through the course of this press tour, the world has really seen that we're just really excited to bring some joy to the world, especially after the last couple of years. So we're incredibly excited, and obviously the responsibility is something we all take very seriously. It's changed my life. I've met friends and had relationships that will go on forever, that I'm so grateful for. I've learned life lessons throughout the last 6 years of how to be professional and how to be respectful and how to manage a life of fame and also a life of creativity. And, you know, it's been an endless lesson for me. What's been quite interesting though is that Spider-Man 3 is about Peter Parker dealing with fame. And that's obviously something that I've had to deal with. So the previous two films, I feel like I've been learning from Peter Parker, whereas in this film, I feel like he's been learning from me because he's going through something that I've already been through. So it was a nice parallel for us to kind of share the responsibility, myself and the character. But it's been great. Makes decisions that I don't think most people would be able to make, and he's a real leader. He really becomes a leader in this film, which has been something that's incredibly fun and exciting for me to kind of bring to the screen, because, I mean, you guys all know that in the previous films, my character has kind of been a follower. You know, he does what Iron Man says, he's part of the Avengers, but he's still just a kid. And in this film, you know, he really does become Spider-Man. He has grown up, he is his own entity, and, you know, is taking control of his own story, which is something I've really enjoyed portraying. It's been incredible. I mean, I've grown up watching the Spider-Man movies. As a child, he was always my favourite character, so to bring him to life myself has been a huge honour, but then to get the opportunity to share the screen with some of my favourite villains from the past has just made that reward that much better. It was really interesting seeing them kind of embody these characters again. You know, I think Willem, it had been over 20 years since he played the Green Goblin. So It was amazing. Not necessarily dive into the comics of the multiverse just because it's such a huge thing. It's hard to like pin down the right storylines to read. And also John Watts, Kevin Feige, Tom Rothman, and all the producers at Marvel have such a good understanding of these storylines and these comic books that part of the work has already been done for you, you know, which is a real nice thing as an actor. It means I have to do this work, which is great. And as for the relationship with Doctor Strange, he's not so much a mentor. Everyone keeps thinking that he seems to be like the replacement to Tony Stark. He's not a mentor, more of a colleague. He's just a friend, a fellow Avenger, someone who has the tools that Peter Parker needs to fix his problem, so he goes to him to ask for help. Unfortunately, that favour goes horribly wrong, and the multiverse is opened, and all these villains come back, and they're trying to kill Peter Parker, which is obviously terrible. But I think his real role model in this film, and has been a secret role model for the previous two films, is Aunt May. I think Marissa Tomei's character, Aunt May, has had a wonderful arc, and is an incredibly powerful character, an important character in Peter Parker's life. You know, she's a single mum, so she's a real superhero, and it's amazing to see how her character has blossomed in this third film. His humility is the most endearing quality of Peter Parker, and something that I've really tried to bring to life in my franchise. This idea that he is constantly doing selfless acts. Everything that he does is for the benefit of other people, and he never really does anything to benefit himself. This film really kind of takes that theme and thought to the next level, which is really cool. But for me, one of the most exciting things about playing this character is kind of pushing the limits and exploring the boundaries of what we can do with action. You know, we're blessed that our stunt team, George Cottle and his entire team, are arguably the best in the business, and they have given us this kind of ceilingless room in which we can explore what we can do with this character when it comes to flying around and fighting. So for me, as a kid that loved doing that anyway, it's really awesome to be able to do that on such a big scale with such an amazing character. I like to do as much as I am allowed to do. There are some things that are just too dangerous, or just I don't have the right skill set. You know, my two stunt doubles, Greg and Luke, are incredibly talented and can do things that I could never dream of doing. So sometimes, for the sake of the character, it's better that they do the stunts because they can just do a better job than I can. But then again, there are some things that do require real character moments within the action, so therefore I would definitely step up and do the stunt. But you know, my stunt double Luke got smashed through a staircase, and then Greg got smashed through the floor, and I don't want to do that anymore.
Of course.
I don't want to do that. It's too painful. And they're great at it. I think it's always a plus, you know. Sometimes I think these films can be misconstrued as popcorn movies, or you know, just they're under this broad umbrella of the superhero kind of franchise. So when you get to find a character, and especially a script like the one that we are promoting today, that is incredibly dramatic, that does require me to perform to, you know, my highest capabilities, it's really exciting. It's really exciting. And you know, there are scenes in this movie that I am, as an actor, incredibly proud of. You know, there's a scene in particular between Zendaya, Jacob, and myself, which is really beautiful, and I think will really touch audiences when they see it. So yeah, so it's a wonderful luxury to be able to carry the gravitas and the weight of the drama of these films. But that said, you know, they're also really light-hearted, they're very funny, they're full of heart. So, you know, it's a perfect balance.